or the reality of the sensations you experience on a oh my god, why can't I say this? On a metaphysical level. Hello and welcome to Maggie Mumbles. My name is Maggie, and on this channel I mumble about the things that are interesting to me at the moment, usually related to witchcraft, spirituality, and personal development. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure that you like this video and then subscribe to my channel so that you can continue following along with this series. And in order to make sure you don't miss a video, ring the bell, because that will notify you every time I post a new video. Today I'm going to be continuing this reacting to my previous videos, the Enwitching challenge that I did in 2016, I believe. Might have been 2017, I don't remember. Some amount of time ago. So without further ado, let's get into the lesson for this week, which is about skepticism, healthy skepticism in your witchcraft practice.
15 minutes later.
I've already filmed this first part, having thought that I didn't have this part of the lesson, but I just found they were out of order. I probably should have watched them first. Anyway, some of my reactions, I liked what I said, and so I didn't want to necessarily refilm the whole thing. So some of it might seem a little bit disjointed. That is why. Basically, the point of this video is to talk about healthy skepticism. All right, hi, welcome to day 5 of the Enwitching challenge. Today I'm going to be talking about healthy skepticism. So I think that skepticism is important, and I also believe that it is sort of a requirement of a healthy witchcraft practice. So without skepticism, it's really impossible to separate the magic that we see in Hollywood from the real life magic that we can actually experience. I do think that that's important. Hollywood magic is not the way that we can experience magic in the real world, and that skepticism helps us to make sure that we know where that line is. And skepticism is how we keep ourselves safe from following authors and leaders blindly into unsafe situations. That is still something that I believe, that being skeptical, being critical of the things that we are reading and learning about and the people that we're following is a way to be safe from cult indoctrination, conspiracy thinking, and things like that that are damaging to our minds. And it's how we help others from falling too deeply into unhealthy delusion. And I do think that that's still important, that being skeptical allows us to help others if they're saying things that are unhealthy and delusional. It also takes like a lot of skill. That's something that I'm learning about more as I learn more about conspiracy theories. At this point in my witchcraft journey, I was interested in conspiracy theories. I mean, I wasn't interested in conspiracy theories as in I was believing them. I was interested in what makes people believe conspiracy theories. So kind of the psychology behind it. And that has only grown. This was either 2016 or 2017. Whenever it was before the emergence of QAnon, or at least before it was in my awareness or most of the public's awareness, because that didn't really happen until 2020 with the pandemic, when more people were in this state of uncertainty, and that's usually what makes conspiracy theories grow. So anyway, all of that is to say that helping other people to come out of delusional thinking and conspiracy thinking and all of that takes a lot of skill, and it's very challenging. And so I don't know that I would still consider that to be like a key component of skepticism, but it can help you with that. It can help you to at least know that another person that you're talking to might be having unhealthy delusions, and at least get you to the point where you can find an expert who can help them get out of that if you're not that expert. So I think that you can be skeptical and be a good witch. I think that skepticism sometimes feels like a weakness, like it's a crack in the foundation of our magic and of our faith. It's this crack that lets these doubts seep through, and it feels like it's a poison. I think there's a certain level of skepticism that is healthy. That's what skepticism can feel like, that if you're having any sort of doubt, it feels like you're opening the floodgates to like your whole belief system falling apart. And in some cases that can happen. I've had that happen before, that my entire belief system is shattered because something showed me that that was an unhealthy thing to believe in, or that it wasn't beneficial to me, or just that I found something that I aligned with a lot more. So that's what skepticism can feel like. It can be like earth-shattering. So if you're unsure of the existence of your gods, or if you're not confident in the magnitude of your power, or the reality of any sensation that you experience on a metaphysical level rather than in the physical realm. So those are things that you might be unsure of. There's tons of things that could make you skeptical, and I think it's important to recognize that it's okay to be skeptical. When these skepticisms enter your mind, you may wonder if you're really a witch. You may wonder if you want to continue calling yourself a witch, is probably how I would word that now. Do you want to still practice witchcraft? Are these skeptical thoughts changing the things that you believe in? Is it revealing to you that perhaps witchcraft isn't fulfilling the spiritual need that it once did? Because the thing that makes you a witch is that you call yourself one. So being truly a witch, that kind of makes it seem like witches are supernatural, unique and special types of people, when all people could be a witch if they wanted to. You may have these feelings of unworthiness or these doubts. They can impact your magic in a negative way. They may make your magic not work properly because you really do need to have a certain level of belief in order for your magic to work. But I do think that having skeptical thoughts make you a more powerful witch in the long run, or at the very least they make you a smarter and savvier witch right now. So the next thing I said is that I believe that having these skeptical thoughts makes you a more powerful witch, or at least a smarter and more savvy one. And I think that that's true. I do agree. I agree with the way I worded it, because when you are skeptical, it means that you are thinking critically, and that makes you safer. That gives you the opportunity to change your beliefs if things are not serving you any longer. So I do think that that can result in a greater power, a greater confidence in your power, and being safer and smarter and savvier. Because blind faith is not true belief. Following someone blindly is an unwillingness to remedy your beliefs when you're presented with an objective reality. Yeah, I think that's what blind faith is. Ignorance is bliss. It's like, I don't want to know anything different than what I believe, because then I will be upset. And like I said before, having skeptical thoughts, realizing that you might need to change something that you believe in, or maybe realizing that you really do believe the thing that you believe in, it can be uncomfortable. So blind faith can be a lot more comfortable. There's some things that have been proven scientifically, and they are the truths of the universe. These things that are true about the natural laws of the universe, they work together with our witchcraft. But when you're unwilling to change your belief system when new objective realities come into play, that's blind faith, and that's not healthy. This type of faith can be really comfortable. It can be tempting because you're allowing someone else to think for you. You follow someone else without questioning them or their motives, but it isn't compatible with a healthy life or a healthy witchcraft practice. Having blind faith, being in blissful ignorance, is a lot more comfortable because there's no earth-shattering discomfort like I've been talking about. But those times where you shift your beliefs or completely change your belief system can result in more fulfilling life. I think a good analogy for this is the transition from the Tower Tarot card to the Star Tarot card. The Tower is your foundation is crumbling and you're tumbling out of the sky and you don't know when you're going to hit the ground and if you're going to hurt yourself or if you're going to be okay on the other side. And then the star emerges, and the star is hopeful, and you're able to rebuild starting from this authentic nakedness and know truly who you are after your beliefs have shattered. But on the other hand, there's this thing called skepticism, which is a philosophical theory that it is impossible to be certain when it comes to knowledge. It is to doubt any given truth, and because of this doubt, you're paving a way for questioning and for investigation. And the more that you question and investigate, the more you learn about yourself and about the world around you and the universe. And all of these things lend to a stronger foundation for you to build your magic on. So this skepticism
in the long run, it really does help you, because these doubts lead to questions, which lead to new understandings.
I think that that's important to recognize, that there is uncertainty around all things that we think we know. When there is uncertainty, that gives space for questioning, for asking questions and clarifying and investigating further and going deeper, so that you can really understand, as I said, the world and yourself.
But there's definitely a balance, as with all things.
And that's true. Balance is so important for everything. And it's also a very challenging aspect of pretty much everything, keeping things in balance.
There's a balance between a little bit of skepticism that's leading to a question and the doubts that will crush your magic. So we walk this line between belief and reason. We now, as modern humans and modern witches, we know things with certainty that our ancient ancestors did not know. We have technologies and tools that our ancestors couldn't even dream about. So there's definitely room for change, and the generations after us, they will have new technologies and tools and certainties that we can't even imagine right now.
I talked about this in one of these videos about the Arthur C. Clarke quote about magic being science that we don't understand yet, or that we don't understand, and I add the yet. In the past, ancient people thought of certain things as magic that we understand now as science, and I'm sure we have things now that we can't explain through science, and that's what I believe is magic. The things that are unexplainable by scientific fact and theory.
We have these concrete facts, these truths of the universe that we know, but there's also a need for imagination and for things that are sacred and for things that are mysterious, because that is where the questions arise from. And without questions, there's no way to have further scientific discoveries. There's no way to get to the next technology or the next certain truth. And so as a witch, you walk this line between what is sacred and what is secular. You walk a line between what is known and what is unknown. And we study things that are both material and immaterial.
This is something I talk about in Witchcraft 101, so you might have already heard this. Sometimes I take things that I've written and I move them into courses and videos like this and repeat myself. And so I think that that's kind of what I'm talking about, though, is that it's important that we trust in things that are established through scientific fact and theory, while also having room to explore the things that are beyond our understanding, this imagination, the things that are mysterious and unknown. And I think one way that we do this is through using physical materials that we can hold and experience in the physical realm to represent the things that exist in the spiritual realm.
As a witch, it's only natural that you would be skeptical of things. When you have worries and when you have doubts, when you doubt your magic, ask yourself, where do these fears come from? What is the root cause of this doubt? What is causing me to fear and to doubt my magic? And ask yourself whether practicing witchcraft and believing in magic is worth it to you, because it's okay if it's not working, if it's not worth it to you to continue to believe in magic and to believe in your witchcraft practice. It's okay to walk away from it if it's not working for you. So ask yourself those questions. What is the root of these doubts, and is it worth it for me to continue on this path?
Witches being a skeptic is just a natural part of practicing witchcraft. Anytime you doubt yourself, just ask why and explore that. You might even use divination tools to help you understand why you're having these doubts, why you're having these fears.
So I've spent about half a decade practicing witchcraft, and I'd certainly go through ups and downs.
And at this point, I've now been practicing for a full decade. I still go through these ups and downs.
I rejoice in the divine. I see these miracles. I see my magic working. But then there are times where I doubt it, where I wonder if it's all in my head or if I'm gone a little crazy. So there's no reason to be afraid of these skeptical thoughts and doubts, because you just keep studying, you keep going, you keep listening. If it's worth it to you, then you keep going with your practice.
Whenever I am skeptical, I just look at why that's happening and whether I need to revisit those doubts. And that's part of why this series is happening, because I am revisiting the things that I once believed in and reflecting on how things have changed and why things have changed, and sharing that with anybody who is watching this. So thanks for being here.
You acknowledge these thoughts, you give them space, you allow them to form into new ideas. Sometimes they form into new discoveries about yourself, and then you incorporate them into this ongoing discourse that you have between yourself and the universe.
I don't call it the universe now. I usually call it the divine or spirit. I don't use the language of the universe as frequently anymore. It's not as accurate to reflect my beliefs. It's all the same thing, if you ask me. It's just different words to describe it.
So there's no reason to fear this inner skeptic. Embrace them and rejoice in their critical eye, because they are adding something to your practice that's really important. A witch does their best when they're discerning with their studies and with their practices. So keep praying, tell your gods or the universe or the spirits, whatever your belief system is based in, about your doubts. Share them with the source of your energy and cast spells in spite of these internal critics, and certainly be open to answers that are not conventional.
And I would add, with the caveat of that, I think I get into it later, that it's okay to just like not do those things anymore. If your inner critic, if your inner skeptic is saying, this isn't right for you any longer, this isn't the direction of your journey any longer, then it's okay to, stop too. Keep praying is kind of implying that you have to continue being a witch or whatever path you're on. And I don't think that's true. I think you can change your beliefs.
Because again, if humanity knew all of the answers, there would be no more questions. But the fact that there are questions and that there are open-minded people who seek knowledge that others may deem impossible, we know that there is more.
I think what is meant by this statement is that it's okay for witches to ask questions, because I think a lot of times people would assume that doubting any aspect of your practice is unwitch-like. But I would disagree with that statement. And I have seen people say that, surprisingly.
So if you wonder if that knowledge is truly impossible, it's fine. All the better. You just need to keep the possibility in mind. So there is this level of skepticism. But the skepticism also helps us to walk the line between what is magic and what is madness. For your magic to work, you have to remain sane. You have to be a functional human being. You need to be grounded in reality. When we begin this journey into the magical world, it's very, very easy to throw away sanity and allow all of the possibilities to take over our minds. But we have to remember that even if we believe in the possibilities of the different outcomes, there are consequences to giving in to every possibility. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the consequences of going down the rabbit hole into Wonderland and giving into the madness.
That's kind of interesting language for me to have used, because like I said before, this was prior to QAnon having emerged. Obviously, the rabbit hole analogy comes from Alice in Wonderland, and that's why I talked about Wonderland. But that's something that a lot of people who believe in the conspiracy theory of QAnon talk about, is the white rabbit, follow the white rabbit. So it is interesting that they kind of embrace that idea of like, yeah, you gotta follow the white rabbit, whereas what's really healthy is to be careful. I think it's okay to explore things that might be in the realm of conspiracy theory thinking. I just think that it's important to have a very clear boundary of what you're going to do when you enter these potentially dangerous lines of thinking. I would never want to censor someone or prevent someone from exploring any information that's available. But my hope is that you are equipped. And what I try to do is make sure that if I enter those spaces where I know there is danger of being brainwashed or being manipulated, having a very strong mental capacity in that moment, not entering those spaces when I'm extremely tired or when I've had a few drinks, have lowered my inhibitions in any way, preparing myself in some way to know that that is what's going to happen potentially, or that's what people might try to be doing in those spaces. So being prepared for that so that I can put up those defenses. The thing I want to pull out from this, that's what I think is important from it, is being grounded in reality. before entering those spaces. Being open-minded to things, because what I said there is that, you know, when we enter the magical world, it's very easy to just like believe everything, because a lot of what is presented to us previously before beginning to practice witchcraft may have seemed impossible, and then we are opening the door to this world where it seems like anything can be possible. And so I think it's important to remember that when you are open-minded, it's not about just like believing anything and everything that comes across your mental threshold. It's about opening your mind to these things and then interviewing them through critical thinking and research and personal experience and the lived experience of other people who you trust, having this filter of what gets to stay, which of those visitor beliefs gets to stay in your mind, and who has to leave after you've realized that that's BS, or that's dangerous, or that's, in some cases, racist or misogynist, or has other discriminatory factors involved in it. And that's what open-mindedness is. It's not just being a free-for-all. There's a filter on open-mindedness. Hey, it's Editing Maggie here, bumping in to say that I am splitting this video up into 4 parts. So this is part 1, and make sure that you're subscribed so that you can find part 2, 3, and 4 as they come out within the next few days. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate that. Make sure you give the video a like before you go, and I'll see you in the next one.